what we call panic attacks. It just means that I'm being extremely anxious about something. Something has happened or something I've thought about just made me very, very anxious or afraid, frightened of what might go on. And so now we know that we all created an operating system for our lives back in the first 5 or 6 years of our lives. In fact, they say we create our personalities by then. And then, of course, the computer we know, has information from how the brain works. That's why we have a computer. So we can use the same thing to look back and remember how our brain's working. So if I'm really anxious about something, the chances are there was something that happened or something I thought about that could happen that resembles some other painful experience I had way back in my life. It might be in the time that I remember, or it might be even in those preschool years where we don't remember very much. But something pushes that button and activates that fear, that trauma, that outflow of cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones. And so what we need to do is, regardless of what the origin of it is, we need, first of all, some tool we can use to calm us down at the moment. But we also can have tools that will press a delete button on the old memories or scenes that started the thing off to begin with. And so I'm grateful that we have both options to use. And so one thing we can do in the present just to calm ourselves is just instantly stop and start taking deep breaths. And inhale to a slow count of 3 or 4 or something like that. And then exhale to a larger number. Now out, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or whatever. And why does that work? It's because as we breathe in the oxygen, it calms down the stress hormones in our brain, the cortisol and adrenaline. And we can get as addicted to those chemicals as one can to heroin. That's why people get addicted to watching negative news and negative TV shows all the time, because it stirs up the cortisol and adrenaline. But then it doesn't bring peace of mind. It doesn't make us be more calm and happier in our lives. It makes us more revved up. And so if we want peace in our lives, then we need to clear out those old experiences that cause such an outflow of stress. And we can use some tools that now are available for doing such a thing. So as well as calming oneself in a moment, one of the earliest tools that came about was called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. And there was a woman out in California, a professor out there, who had been disturbed about something and went across the park and to meet a colleague for lunch, and they talked a little bit about what was going on that was upsetting her. But then she walked back to her office after lunch to go to work, and she saw a lot of activity going on in the park like she'd never seen before. There's so many people doing so many different things, and she was looking all around. And she got back to her office and she found, wow, I feel so much more peaceful. I was so upset before. What could have happened? And she was trying to reflect on it, and she knows, well, the only thing different was my eyes were moving all around as I was looking at all those people in the activity. And could that be something? And what she discovered was then, yes, as we move our eyes back and forth, left and right, we increase the ability to communicate between the left and right hemispheres in the brain. And as she did that, and probably did some breathing with the walking, she felt so much more at peace when she got back. And that's how she developed that system called EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. So that's something that you can do with a therapist, or you can go there to learn that kind of process, or it's something you can just do on your own too. Because it's just a way of, if I'm making those eye movements back and forth, apparently it calms down those stress hormones. And it gets more oxygen to the brain if I'm breathing. And that calms me down. And I'm less likely to have a strong, anxious reaction. Certainly if you'd like to learn more about these methods or these tools or the combinations of them and how they work, I'll be glad to talk with you about it. You could contact me by phone or by email, or you could call me and we can make an appointment or two, and we could discuss it more in relation to your area, your issues, your problem areas, and what would be effective for you to do together. So I'd be happy to explore those things with you. I have people who want to come in person can see me in New York City or in Westport, Connecticut. Others may prefer to have session by Zoom or telephone or FaceTime or things like that. So that's possible too, especially during this coronavirus situation. So whatever works for you is I'm open to explore with you. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have about what this therapy is like.